You brush your dog's teeth every day, and yet his breath still smells awful. Or maybe you can't even get close enough to brush it. You feel guilty about it. So stay it, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change the way you take care of your dog's mouth. And look, most of the tutors I know are making a mistake that seems small, but it accumulates silently over months, sometimes years, without anyone noticing. But before I tell you what that mistake is, let me ask you a quick question. When was the last time you really looked at your dog's teeth? Not just a quick glance. A real look, though, at the back teeth, at the gum line. Almost no one does this. And that's exactly where the problem begins. But don't worry, there is a solution. It is simpler than you think. We have content like this every week to help you take better care of your dog. Do you know why? Because the vast majority of dogs don't accept a toothbrush. It is that simple. And owners spend years feeling terrible for not being able to brush their dogs, thinking they are failing as owners, when in reality there are other ways to protect your dog's oral health that work very well. The mistake isn't not brushing. The mistake is doing nothing, thinking that without brushing there is no solution. Think about it. What really causes problems in a dog's mouth is the buildup of a sticky layer of germs on their teeth. This layer forms every day, in all dogs, regardless of breed, size, or age. And what you need to understand is this layer, while it is still soft, can be removed in several ways, not just with a brush. The problem is when nobody removes it, because then it hardens. And when it hardens, then the conversation changes completely. But let us take it one step at a time. That sticky layer takes advantage of the situation to multiply much faster. And there is a detail that almost no one notices: the back teeth, the molars in the back. Most pet owners who try to clean their pet's teeth focus on the front teeth, the canines and incisors, because they are the easiest to access. But it is back there, in the teeth that grind food, that the buildup is greatest. That is where the surface is most uneven, where food particles get muddy stuck, where the problem grows fastest. And because it is hidden, nobody sees it. Until the day the vet looks at it and says the animal needs a cleaning under anesthesia. Speaking of anesthesia, I know this is a topic that generates a lot of fear. We are going to talk about that too. Just wait a moment. But I want you to understand what happens when this accumulation is ignored for too long, because it makes a difference. When that sticky layer hardens, it turns into what we call tartar, that yellowish or brownish crust that you've probably seen on a dog's mouth. And tartar doesn't come off with brushing. Nothing you do at home can remove it. Only a veterinarian can. But the biggest problem isn't even the appearance. It is what is happening underneath. Near the gum line, this buildup begins to irritate the tissue. The gums become red, swollen, and sensitive. They bleed easily. This is the beginning of an inflammation that, if left untreated, will worsen. And when it goes deep, it starts to compromise the bone that supports the tooth. The dog starts to feel pain when eating. It chews sideways. Sometimes it stops eating properly. And since dogs can't talk, many people take a long time to notice. It all starts silently, with the thin layer that forms every day and that nobody sees. That is why prevention makes such a difference. And that is exactly what I'm going to teach you now. Lift your snout, open your mouth a little, take a look at the teeth on the sides and try to peek at the ones in the back. This creates a habit. And more than that, it allows you to notice when something is changing, when your gums are redder, when a crust has appeared that wasn't there before. Those who pay attention often notice early on, and noticing early changes everything. The second simple change is to pay attention to what your dog chews. You know that old saying that chewing helps clean teeth? It is true. When a dog chews something with texture, the texture creates natural friction on its teeth. It doesn't solve everything, but it helps. The problem is that not every dental treat you find out there actually works. Some are more marketing than results. We talk about that later. The third change is to create a routine of mouth contact with the dog, even if you can't brush. Even if he wants to let you, start slowly, touch his snout, lift his lip, let him smell the brush, touch his gums with your finger. This isn't being fussy. It is adaptation. A dog that grew up without this kind of contact is strange. but a dog that learns little by little, that associates this moment with something peaceful. It accepts it. Does it take time? Sometimes yes, but it works. If your dog is older and simply won't accept it at all, don't worry, there are the alternatives. I'm going to show you which ones really work. Let us talk about something that many people use without really knowing if it works. Water additives. You've probably seen it. It is that liquid you put in your dog's water bowl that promises to clean their teeth without doing anything. Does it work? Partially. These products generally contain substances that help control the growth of germs in the mouth. They don't remove what is already there. They don't replace any form of mechanical hygiene. But as a complement, within a routine, they can help reduce buildup. The important detail, it has to be a product specifically designed for this purpose, approved for using dogs. It can't be just any product. The dosage matters. Another point worth understanding, why do some dental treats work and others don't? What makes the difference is the texture in the chewing time. A treat that a dog devours in 10 seconds does almost nothing for its teeth. The contact is too short. A treat with a foam texture, requiring real chewing, that the dog needs to work for a few minutes. This is what creates the friction that helps remove that soft coating before it hardens. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be the right size for your dog and have the right texture. And speaking of texture, there is a question that comes up a lot when the topic is chewing. But cooked bone becomes brittle. If fragments of cooked bone can cause perforation in the digestive tract, this is a real veterinary emergency. Furthermore, very hard bone, even raw, can fracture a tooth. A fractured tooth hurts a lot. It is rarely noticed by the owner right away. So it is not a matter of demonizing bone. It is about understanding that not every solution that seems natural is automatically safe. The same applies to some homemade recipes that circulate on the internet. Sodium bicarbonate, for example. Many people use it thinking it is harmless because it is natural, but excess baking soda alters the balance in the mouth, and this can end up favoring other types of problems. Not to mention that the dog swallows it during application. In large quantities, this causes an imbalance in the organism. Human toothpaste should never be used on dogs. The fluoride present in most of them is toxic to them. It seems basic, but it is still a mistake that happens frequently. Now, going back to a question I promised to answer at the beginning. In the anesthesia, I'm very afraid to have my dog cleaned under anesthesia. I understand that fear, truly. But let me give you some context that might change that perspective a bit. Veterinary anesthesia today is much safer than it was a few years ago. Protocols have evolved significantly. Before any procedure, the veterinarian assesses the animal, performs pre-anesthetic tests, and determines the most appropriate protocol for that specific patient. Zero risk doesn't exist in any medical procedure, human or animal, but the risk of a well-conducted anesthesia in a healthy animal is much lower than many people imagine. And there is another side to this equation that almost no one considers: the risk of not treating it. Chronic inflammation in the mouth causes constant pain that the dog cannot communicate. It affects chewing, appetite, and mood. And bacteria from the mouth can enter the bloodstream and compromise organs such as the kidneys, liver, and heart over time. So the fear of anesthesia is legitimate, but it needs to be weighed against the risk of letting a problem progress without treatment. Talk to your veterinarian honestly about this fear. A good professional will explain the protocol, show you the tests, and answer your questions. Before we wrap up, I need to be honest with you about something important. There is a limit to how much care you take at home, and knowing what that limit is not a weakness. It is intelligence. What you can do at home is prevent the buildup of germs before it hardens, slow down the rate at which tartar forms, keep gums healthier, reduce bad breath, create a daily routine that protects your dog's mouth. That is a lot. It makes a real difference. What you can do at home is remove tartar that has already formed. There is no product, no brushing method, no home remedy that dissolves tartar. Anyone who claims otherwise is deceiving you. Tartar can only be removed with a veterinary ultrasound. Period. And there are the signs that indicate it is time to seek veterinary care without delay. If your dog's gums are visibly red and swollen, if he is avoiding chewing on one side, if swelling has appeared on his face, under his eye, or on his jaw, if his breath has suddenly worsened significantly, if you have seen a broken tooth or noticed that itchy has disappeared without explanation, these are the signs that something has gone beyond the point where home care can solve the problem. Don't wait. Take him till the vet. Regarding the frequency of professional cleaning, that varies a lot. Each depends on the breed, the size of the snout, the diet, and the hygiene routine at your home. Some dogs need cleaning every year. Others do very well with longer intervals. Only the veterinarian who treats your animal will be able to tell you what the ideal interval is specifically for them or her. Each does need to depend on a perfect routine that you will never be able to maintain. Each depends on small, consistent actions, done regularly, that add up over time. Check your pet's mouth frequently. Establish a habit of gradual contact. Carefully choose what your pet chews. Use supplements that actually work. And know when to call the veterinarian. That's enough to make a huge difference in your dog's life. So tell me in the comments, which of these changes will you implement first? Each can be the simplest one. Sometimes each is precisely the simplest thing that changes everything. If this video helped you, please leave a like before you go. It helps a lot more than it seems. It motivates me to continue bringing this type of content to you. Now click on the video that is appearing on the screen. It complements everything we've seen today, and I'm sure it will help you even more. Until next time.